Yep. Hello, everyone. Sorry for the delay. I am a little directionally challenged out here in what I know as Saudi Aurora. This is the far east. Far, but
He said the far east.
this is the far east. It's like the Silk Road out here. Okay, I saw camels. But yeah. Listen, everybody. I'm here with a phenomenal, just amazing, multi-talented performer here. I mean, Erica Papillion-Posey. I met you at the Shadow Theater Company, didn't I?
Yes, 2008 Smokey Joe's Cafe.
Smokey Joe's Cafe.
Yeah.
Yes, Smokey Joe's Cafe. That was kind of a golden era in Denver black theater, wasn't it? Oh, man, you know when
it kind of all left with Jeff.
Well, with Jeff Nicholson, yeah. So y'all don't know Shadow Theater Company. That was like Black Apollo Denver for real. You know what I'm saying? All the black folks got it in there when it came to performing. But yeah, but you're an opera singer, right?
Opera and jazz.
Opera and jazz, yeah, absolutely.
I billed myself as a crossover artist because I still do both.
Yeah.
But I am trained classically and in jazz.
Okay, cool.
I'm from Louisiana originally.
All right now.
And always had a dream of pursuing jazz until I transferred to university here and was kind of coaxed into the classical realm and lived it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But since 2014, I've made my way back to primarily jazz, where home is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's just phenomenal. I've seen so many shows with this sister, man. I mean, she really is like a Denver area jewel. You know what I'm saying? Like, if y'all don't notice this and what she be up to when it comes to actually making original songs, you see what I'm saying? Like original music, like beautiful stuff. Yeah. She's a writer as well, and I mean, you know, you can't see the room that I'm in, but like there's plaques and accolades. This phone is sitting on a grand piano that is amazingly well tuned. So we're just saying that this is somebody like this is what you do. Like you do this.
This is all I do.
Yeah.
I think that if you're going to be an artist in the truest sense, you have to focus on it.
Yeah.
It can't just be like a hobby for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that doesn't surprise me how far you've delved into the role of Josephine Baker. Why don't you tell these good folks about exactly why you chose this role and what is her cultural significance is often overlooked in the black community?
Oh, wow. I chose the role because there are many aspects of her life that I am intimately familiar with. Being an artist, of course, it is everything. And she really took her artistry to the next level. Yeah, right. If there was a word that I could use when describing her, it was commitment.
Commitment, let's go.
Commitment. She was not reserved at all. When she wanted something, she went for it. And there's so many nuances and aspects to her life that I think people are going to be incredibly surprised about as a black woman from St. Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis,
you know? Right? Besides her being married 4 times, the first time at 13 years old.
Oh, wow.
13 years old. The second time at 15 years old.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. And then the third time, which is when she gained her French citizenship, was to a Jewish man in France. She likes to say that she met him while flying. She met a millionaire in the air.
Oh, wow.
She met a millionaire in the air.
Uh-oh. Oh, who calling me? No, y'all can't be calling me. Sorry. Somebody be trying to call in the middle of my dang live stream.
I know.
How rude. How rude is that? Y'all don't call me right now. I'm interviewing the diva. Please. Hold your applause. Now, and so just so y'all know, this is happening at the Vintage Theater.
Yeah. For
the next 4 Thursdays in a row, right?
Right. Starting September 26th through October 17th.
Absolutely.
7:30.
And so here's what's so important about the Vintage Theater. The Vintage Theater was once the Shadow Theater.
Right.
The Shadow Theater is where we began. Like the Shadow Theater, you know what I mean? And it's still called the Jeffrey Nicholson Auditorium. So Jeff Nicholson's legacy is still very, very much alive there. You know what I mean? So that's where I met you, in that building. Yeah. So it's going to be amazing. If y'all don't know, it's on Colfax and Dayton in Aurora the next 4 Thursdays. So tell us a little bit more about Josephine Baker's contribution to perhaps the civil rights struggle and what that meant in her time.
She was one of the first artists to refuse to perform in segregated spaces.
Hey.
It didn't matter how much money you offered her. she wouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So in an age, we're talking about the 30s, 40s, 50s, there were many calls for her to come to America to perform, and she would flat out refuse. I'm talking $12,000, $15,000 a night.
Wow.
At that time.
At that time. That's insane.
And she would refuse to do so unless her demands were met, that the audiences were, not segregated. Incredible. And she stood her ground. It was also amazing because she didn't like to come to America after she actually left in 1925.
Wow.
Because of the racial backlash. People like Walter Winchell would write about her. He was a columnist in New York. Would write about her and refer to her as a bedwench.
Oh, dang.
As a bedwench. And the Stork Club, for instance, she went there with one of her best friends, Grace Kelly.
Oh, wow.
Grace Kelly. And they wanted her to go through the back, and she refused and, just decided to leave. Walter Winchell ended up writing about her. This is the period of communism. McCarthyism.
McCarthyism, all that.
And
y'all got to get up on your history. Like, she dropping game on y'all right now about the era that we don't even really talk about anymore. Like, we talk about the 60s and up. But then there was this other area before that. Go ahead.
McCarthyism. And he wrote about her so poorly that her visa was rescinded. The United States government actually took her visa back. And she wasn't allowed back into the country for another 10 years.
Wow.
So, and she really didn't want to come back.
She was like, okay.
And ironically, when they kicked her out at that point, she arrived back into France with the reception of a queen.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm talking flowers, private escort. Again, Grace Kelly was there to greet her. So she felt like she was home. She has a song that I will be presenting to the audience that was written specifically for her, one of a few that were written specifically for her, called J'ai deux amours, which means my two loves.
Wow.
And she means Paris and her country. So she still had much love for the United States. Yeah. A lot of people also don't know that Coretta Scott King approached her after the assassination of Martin Luther King and asked her to be the face of the civil rights movement here. So she was the first person that Coretta Scott contacted and said, hey, can you come and lead this charge for us? The only reason she did not, another fun fact, she had just adopted the first 6 of her 12. Of her brood. Wow. She adopted 12 children from around the world, not just French children or American children, but of all different ethnicities and religious backgrounds. Not only did she adopt those children, but she encouraged the study of their own respective religions.
Oh, wow.
So it didn't matter that they were babies. She brought people in to really familiarize them with their own culture and history.
I mean, this is history. These are acts of a giant.
Right.
Like these, like we hear about so many heroes and sheroes, but this one, and I mean, so when you told me that you were doing this, I actually went to YouTube and started looking up like Josephine Baker, and I was like, first of all, she was fine.
She was.
She was like real like Josephine Baker was actually fine.
And it's really strange because she didn't think she was.
Yeah. And so
not at all.
She didn't think she was beautiful.
She grew up hearing that she was ugly and unattractive, and that her talents were best suited off the stage and not on the stage.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
So she grew up thinking that she was not attractive.
Yeah.
And isn't that the thing, right? So many black folks are working through self-hate. You know what I mean? And a lot of that has to do with, our conditioning. She's a black woman, straight goddess of like the stage. And it must have been interesting to feel finally the love that she was due in another country, the love that she deserved. She could sing, y'all, like it's a beautiful thing when you listen to this sister sing in French. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, wow, what is going on with my phone? Praise God, the phone is acting a fool, y'all. It's just acting a fool. So what we gonna do is we gonna move a little bit over. So we ain't gonna do this at like no angle no more, okay? So, this is how we gonna do this. The bottom line, y'all, is that I think that she had a global perspective.
Yes.
On herself and her struggle. And what do you think that we as Black folks in America could stand to learn, perhaps, from her global perspective? Because you got a global perspective too.
Absolutely.
Like, y'all don't know how much training she got in this. It's amazing. Okay, go ahead and talk about the global perspective.
There's a saying that I often tease my husband about. Jokingly now, of course, but it was my effort to get him out of his comfort zone. And I would say to him often, you have to think beyond being the king of your corner.
You got to think beyond being the king of your corner.
Yes. There is so much life to be lived outside of the community that you're comfortable with. And other cultures and foods and, just different landscapes.
Yeah.
I love to say that learning a second language is like gaining another soul.
Ooh, hold on. She said learning a second language is like gaining another soul.
It really is.
Woo!
It gives you, if you learn another language, it's a gateway into another life.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the big reason I love travel. And Josephine was like that as well. She loved visiting other countries. She didn't just sing in France exclusively. She went everywhere from Russia to Germany to Austria to South America. She loved the South Americans. We have a special story about the South Americans and in particular Frida Kahlo.
Oh, wow.
The Mexican artist Frida Kahlo.
Hold on, did she?
A connection. Yeah.
That's too deep to me. Like, that's so deep to me.
A lot of people don't also know. We know her as Josephine.
Sorry, I'm just trying to change this around so we can see. I done tipped this. Praise God, I done tipped it. Look at my hand, y'all. Okay, here we go. Okay, sorry, y'all. We just did. We got two cameras going here. This is unprecedented. All right? Here we go. All right.
So, a lot of people don't realize, I mean, you can Google it, of course, but we just know her as Josephine Baker.
Yeah.
But her first name is actually Frida.
Lord, today.
Her first name is Frida.
Oh, Lord.
And yes, she did have a relationship with Frida Kahlo, the Mexican artist.
Can you imagine Frida Kahlo and Josephine Baker in the same room?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And there is proof of it. So there's this incredible photo that was discovered, I think, back in 2009 or so, of the two of them having just met.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's amazing. And actually, Frida Kahlo had taken a trip to France to preview some of her new works at the Louvre.
Okay. Wow.
And they met that way, and there's a story behind it, but we're going to save it for the show.
Go on, save it for the show.
It's really meaty, really good.
Yeah.
But also back to that song that I referred to, Je deux amours. She's talking about Paris and then her country, but there's a subtext to it.
Yeah.
My two loves.
Yeah.
We'll discuss that also.
Okay, cool.
Frida Kahlo
and Josephine Baker. So listen, y'all, it's going to be playing at the Vintage Theater these next 4 Thursdays coming up in on into October. Just starting September 26th, going to be playing on into October. And the Vintage Theater got a special place in my heart because it's still like low-key the shadow theater to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I still recall walking in with Jeffrey Nicholson into the Jeffrey Nicholson Auditorium. You see what I'm saying? So I want you to talk about now, I suppose, your background as an international performing artist. Like, let's talk about your operatic background. And you told me one time about your training in that.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Yo, she's so deep in the game. Okay, go ahead. Tell us about like your background as an operatic singer.
Well, again, I started having transferred universities from Jackson State University, Jackson, Mississippi. As a vocalist, I transferred to Metro to complete a vocal jazz degree. And when I arrived, I wasn't told that they were doing away with the vocal jazz program. And they then asked me after my audition if I would consider trying the classical program. And I said, no, thank you. I don't want to sing in any other language but English. I grew up with French, being from Louisiana.
All right, cool.
Which is another Josephine Baker connection. She really was a mixed race woman. But still completely identified as a Black woman. But I kind of put them off for a month or so. They offered me a full scholarship to just try it. And if I didn't like it, no harm, no foul.
Right.
I tried it and absolutely loved it.
Right.
I love the pomp and circumstance of the stage. I love the costumes. I love the history behind it. I'm a huge history buff.
I can tell.
love history.
Mm-hmm.
History is everything.
Yeah.
It gives you perspective and context for where you are in the world.
Correct.
This is a relatively young country.
Right.
We're only about 320 some odd years old.
Yeah.
You're talking 2,000 years of history once you cross the Atlantic, 2,000 plus years of history once you cross the Atlantic. So being in other countries is literally like walking through a book.
Wow. Hey.
You know?
Hey.
Your own landscape that you're walking through, having read one of my favorite books in the world is Agony and Ecstasy.
Okay.
It's the autobiographical novel of the life of Michelangelo.
Wow.
And he talks about the struggle of the artist. You understand the struggle of the artist and the importance of broadening your perspective as an artist and how it plays into creating long-term works. And Josephine was the same way. She loved working. She said she wanted to die breathlessly, dancing and singing breathlessly, you know. And in a lot of ways, she did pass that way.
So how did she pass away, or is that for the show? Or?
We can kind of tell a little bit. Approaching was the 50 years of her having been in entertainment. 1975. This was 1975.
Yeah.
So she was approached with doing this kind of farewell tour. She needed the money anyway because she was supporting 12 children by herself.
Yeah.
And so she, you know, kind of begrudgingly said, okay, let's do this. If we're going to do it, we're going to do it. And mind you, this woman was svelte until the day she died.
Oh, heck. She was snatched tight. Snatched tight.
Go to YouTube, check it out. It was beautiful. The opening leg of the tour premiered April 8th, 1975.
Yeah.
She died 4 days later.
Oh, wow.
4 days later. That evening of the first night of the tour, first leg of the tour, in the audience was Diana Ross, Mick Jagger. Like everyone had come to celebrate her and pay homage to her career. You know, we're talking 50 years.
Yeah, exactly.
And she wanted to go out and party with Mick Jagger that night. And she was encouraging all of them to, hey, come on, let's go out and let's party. Now this woman is 68 at the time. Yeah.
Right.
So she goes home. Her maid comes in to wake her up for the next day and finds her peacefully having passed in her sleep. However, all of the evening's reviews of the show surrounded her bed. So she passed having read how celebrated she was.
Oh, wow.
And how amazing, you know, what a joy to have seen her perform one last time if you were in the audience that night.
Oh, wow.
You know, April 8th, 1975.
Wow.
Incredible. And she died on the 12th. So, yeah.
You guys.
It was amazing.
Y'all need to come out and see this show. You just need to see it.
And what a great transition as a classical and jazz artist. Having a background in languages. It was a perfect, the role is super well suited for me.
Y'all don't understand. Erica really is. Like, you've done so much great work in Europe. Don't you speak Italian?
As a classical singer, you are trained specifically in French, Italian, German.
Wow.
Some operas are in Russian.
Wow.
Spanish, of course.
Yeah.
But you have to have a working knowledge of all of those languages because if you're performing overseas, you have to be prepared to interview in their native tongue. It's just out of respect you do that. They are so respectful of the United States that they often want to speak to you in English. They want to show you that they know English. So we kind of go back and forth. It's a great thing.
Oh, wow.
But I love it. I love languages. And I think it's crazy that 60% of the American population only knows one language. The equivalent is true in, the flip is true in other parts of the world where they know more than one language.
Absolutely.
More than one.
I mean, listen, it is an American privilege to only know one language.
Right.
That is an American privilege to only know one language. The fact that, like, you know, most of us are so upset about bilingual education. I'm like, even bilingual education puts you behind the curve.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like, if you talk to some of my African brothers and sisters, they know 4 and 5 languages, meaning they know 3 colonizer languages, English, French, and like Dutch, and then they know 2 like tribal languages. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
It's cracking, Gabe. I see you, homie. How you doing? This is Erica Papillion-Posey, and she is Josephine Baker coming up at the Vintage Theater. So yeah, I wish you was in town because Gabe would definitely come and see you. But yeah, I just want to say, the international global perspective on opportunity when it comes to being appreciated. Like if you ain't appreciated one place, you could go another place and be worshipped. And
to give you the audience perspective on that, I would arguably say that no one really knows who I am in the United States. My very first time going to Italy, for instance, in 2010, I stepped off the plane alone, this little black girl. There were no other African Americans or other blacks, period, on the plane with me. So I literally was the only one. We're talking about an Airbus going across the Atlantic. So there are hundreds of people on it, right?
Yeah.
You disembark, you go through customs, you prepare to go through customs. A customs officer out of the blue walks up to me and says, I think I'm in trouble because I see him approaching me. But he walks over to me and he says, "Chicolato bellissima." Beautiful black woman.
Oh my God. And
proceeds to ask me, where are you going? Why are you here? And where's your man? Why are you alone?
Why?
And I get an escort through customs. Period. I was going to perform. It was my first opera festival. And I don't think I paid for anything my entire time there.
What?
I started in Rome. I wanted to just be a tourist for a bit and acclimate my voice, of course. Which is great because you're going down to sea level, you know. To acclimate my voice.
If you're a singer, you don't know the difference that altitude makes.
It makes
if you're not a singer, you don't know.
Or an athlete.
Or an athlete. Right? Right. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I am a tourist in Rome for a little bit. I'm going on to a place called Tuscania for, like I said, an opera festival. And so I take the train north, which is where I'm going. Again, same thing. I hardly paid for anything. I got one question in particular my entire time there. What is wrong with whites in your country? How could they not love you? You're so this and you're so that. How could they not love you? First time I had ever been posed with such a question.
Europeans asked her, what is wrong with the whites in your country?
Yeah. So my debut, that would have been my international debut, was my international debut.
That's right.
I was playing a character from a Puccini opera, Suor Angelica. I am the antagonist in the movie. I'm playing like the female Darth Vader of opera characters. Wow. And my costume came directly from Rome Opera. Wow. And the costume itself was like 25 pounds. We're talking detail. So I was assigned a personal dresser. Wow. Who escorted me to and from the stage because of the value of the costume, of course. Right. And after I finished my first performance that evening, I'm going back to my dressing room. Right. I come out after having changed out of my costume to leave for the evening, and there's a line out of the piazza around the corner, down the street. Wow. I was shocked and amazed.
Listen, it's so amazing when you said stepping out of your comfort zone to not just being the king of your corner, to go internationally and literally have them actually falling at your feet. You see? Yeah. These opportunities for us in whatever area of excellence that we are in can open for us overseas and around the world. Yes. You know, one of the most American things you could do is to think that America's the only game in town. Right. And that America's the only game that matters. It's not. You see what I mean? And so when I think about a spirit placed in this world that could more deeply relate to Josephine Baker, I don't know anybody better than I know than you. So
I really feel like I know
mm-hmm.
what she was going through
yeah.
and what she was feeling in those moments, being celebrated.
Mm-hmm.
Before we went on camera, we were talking about a period, especially in French history, of this obsession with black skin.
Ooh.
You know, this exoticism. You know, black exoticism was going on at the time. You know, really, really. And you know, coming from a place where you're told that you're ugly and that you're a bed wench and your place is best behind the curtain and not in front of the curtain, to then be celebrated overnight, where so much so where you are walking down the streets of Paris with a cheetah.
Hold on, wait.
Yeah.
Josephine Baker walked down the streets of Paris with a cheetah
on her daily strolls.
Oh, that's officially thug life. That is the highest level. Hold up. You're walking down the streets of Paris as a black woman with a cheetah.
And the cheetah has on a diamond collar.
In a diamond? That don't even... Where's the movie? Hold up, Spike, where you at? Like,
yeah.
Hold up, Spike, where you at?
Yeah.
Legit, that is the most thugged out. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
And a diamond collar in the what, 30s, 40s?
Yes, absolutely. Late 30s, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And she was such an influence. At the time, she was the most photographed woman in the entire world. There were photographs of her everywhere. She had such an influence on popular culture of the day that white women were cutting their hair like hers. White women were dyeing their skin at the time, or suntanning at the time to be her complexion.
Wow.
Literally. So it's all cyclical.
Yeah,
it's all cyclical, you know?
You know, there was a documentary that came out called Hidden Colors, and they talked about how there was a period in Europe prior to the conquest era where the Moors and black folks were generally worshipped and adored, especially in Southern Europe. And those remnants still show themselves every now and then. There's this imprint, this footprint that has been left by black folks in Europe that has been swept over, but every now and then it begins to peek through. And that is what she was experiencing. She was also great. Let's be real. She was also a phenomenon. You too, Josephine Baker. It's there. That's the beauty of the era we live in now. But she experienced some of that.
Absolutely. Especially speaking of the Moors, I had the opportunity. This was the second time I had been in Spain, but I particularly went this time to the southern region where Alhambra is in Granada, Spain. Where the Moors were boss for 700-800 years.
Yeah, exactly.
And you see the footprint of the Moroccans coming out of northern Africa and literally taking over that entire southern area of Spain. You know?
Exactly.
The maths, the sciences, you know, the neoclassical period or the Renaissance period. That wasn't just, poof, all of a sudden they experienced all of this and they had this epiphany about now maths and sciences and arts and culture that came straight up out of southern Spain.
Yep. And those Moors, I mean, we have evidence, think about it. If they were that mathematically skilled and versed, they probably could build ships that could cross the ocean, but we won't get into that.
Right.
We won't get into that. Will we?
Right.
We're going to stay on
the
subject.
Spanish Inquisition might come after you.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
But we digress.
We digressing like a mug.
But yes, she was. There are so many incredible firsts she had. She was the first black woman to star in a feature film. She was also a stunt pilot. Yeah. Her third husband that I spoke to you about when she said she met a millionaire.
A stunt pilot?
Yes.
Josephine Baker was a stunt pilot.
Yeah. Serious business.
Okay, go ahead.
She was a spy for the French Resistance. To this day, she is the only American woman. American, I'm not prefacing it with a color or anything, nationality. The only American woman to be buried with French military honors. she was buried like a queen and given all of the trappings, burial trappings that you would have afforded a queen of the day.
Wow.
Yeah, she was a spy for the French resistance. She would hide notes that she was taking back and forth to the Allies because she was a super megastar at the time. So of course they would never search her.
Exactly.
They were in awe of her. They would never do such a. It would be blasphemous to search Josephine Baker.
Right.
She would hide the notes in her underclothes, in her undergarments, or she would put it in her sheet music.
Hey.
Totally. She won the highest military honors you could receive, called the Croix de Guerre and the Légion d'honneur. Yeah, I can't express how celebrated of a woman that she was. And then to come home, the handful of times that she did to lackluster reviews or treatment. She was kissing white men in France, and then she'd come to America and they try to put on similar productions, and then it would cause an uproar.
Yeah, exactly. So in France, it's just acting. You know what I mean? And she could do that over there in a play, and could not do that in a play over here.
Right.
I think Josephine Baker is original OG Black Girl Magic. Let's just put it like that.
Totally.
She's OG Black Girl Magic. Magic that I didn't know existed on even that level. I heard she was worshipped. I heard she was adored. I did not understand to the scale in which the contrast was so different in her treatment over there versus over here.
Yeah. This
is a powerful thing. And we'll talk about like local love versus international love. You know what I'm saying? Because real talk, Denver, we got culture here. I'm just going to say it like that. Denver, we got culture here. We got people holding the standard on the level of other places in the country and in the world. You got to come support that. A lot of times when people think you're doing good, they don't support because they think you're doing good.
Right.
That is a defeating cycle. Like, we're putting on this production at the Vintage Theater, and you know who's going to be in the audience most of the time? White folks. It is what it is, right? Mostly it's going to be white people in these audiences, and that's cool because they need to know about her Josephine Baker too. But the ones who really could be inspired, it's another thing when you actually are in the audience learning about somebody who looked like you, who did incredible things and in an incredibly difficult time. Yeah. Does that make sense? So y'all got to understand how important this is. When you have a local artist here in Denver specifically, butts in the seats, get on out there and actually be a part of the experience. Don't just assume that because somebody's kicking ass and taking names that your support isn't necessary. It absolutely is. So, let's get these dates going again, and then if you had any final,
September 26th through October 17th.
Okay, cool.
4 Thursdays. 7:30. You can get your tickets at vintagetheater.org. Vintagetheater.org. You can also find the event on my artist page, and you can go through there to get tickets as well. And I'm also going.
What's your artist page?
Erica Papillion-Posey.
Eric
on Facebook, my Facebook.
Or Erica Papillion-Posey.
Yes.
Y'all gonna know it because it's in the I tagged her, so just go and tag her and follow her.
And then my website is epapillonposey.com.
epapillonposey.com.
Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be an incredible evening. Of course, Josephine was also known for her costumes. The image that has become indelible for us is the banana skirt. Danse Banane is the name of the dance, the banana dance. And she was so much more than that.
Yeah.
You know, we always have a tendency to want to cling to the exploitive, you know? Yeah. But she was so much more than that, than just the banana. That's what really brought her to fame, is that dance. But she grew out of that and became an international sensation and a grande dame, as they say, a grand lady. Costumes were everything to her. We're going to have a few feathers for you. You know, Josephine would have worn something like this.
Something like that.
Check that out. One of her favorite jazz tunes to sing was Bye Bye Blackbird.
Okay.
Bye Bye Blackbird. So I'm going to be doing a medley of sorts with Nina Simone's Blackbird, coupled with the Bye Bye Blackbird. It's going to be beautiful, super beautiful. She loved, again, learning other languages as well. She had no formal training in voice or dance or languages. She had no formal learning in any of those areas,
Right.
but loved celebrating those nuances in other cultures. One of her favorite, again, Frida Kahlo, Mexican. One of her favorite songs was Bésame Mucho.
I just sang that at karaoke.
Shut
Praise
up!
God. Yeah, I sang Andrea Bocelli's version.
Yeah. So I'm going to be doing that song as well. It was one of her absolute favorites, and I personally think it came out of her experience with Frida Kahlo.
Absolutely.
Bésame Mucho. The concert will be primarily, well, I shouldn't say primarily, half in English and half in French.
Okay.
So I may sing a verse in French and then do the translation in English. And then throughout, we'll have little excerpts of some of the things that we just talked about and some of those hidden gems that might be a little risque. But she never shied away from,
Josephine Baker wasn't scared. Glenn Waller says, I'll be there. That's what's up, Brother Glenn. All right, Glenn, I see you. Yeah.
Her personality, I saw Lettucey at the Breckenridge Jazz Festival.
Oh, wow, okay.
Just this past summer. And Lettucey has a similar personality I was able to deduce from her stage presence as Josephine Baker.
Wow.
When she stepped onto the stage, she said, and I knew I was going to be performing Josephine Baker at this time. She stepped onto the stage. I don't think she received the kind of reception she thought she was going to. And she stepped up to the front of the stage and she said, I ain't scared of y'all. I ain't scared of y'all. Like, y'all better come on in and get this. This art. You know?
Yes, absolutely.
And that is so similar. That is such a Josephine Baker personality.
Right.
She wasn't scared.
Never scared.
A part of her knew that she was being exploited in a way because of this exoticism.
Yeah.
But she turned it around.
Yeah.
And used it to her favor. In an era where we were doing pliés and, the uprightedness of ballet.
Yeah.
She deconstructed it, and celebrated her butt being, stuck out. Her body was her instrument.
Yeah, black woman's body.
That's right. She celebrated,
Absolutely.
all those contortions and the Africanness and, the otherness.
Yeah, exactly.
That double other.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys, every Thursday coming up for the next 4 Thursdays at the Vintage Theater. What time does that show start?
7:30 each night. Doors open at 6:30. I have 2 radio interviews coming up with KGNU in Boulder next week. I'll post the info on that, as well as Colorado Public Radio.
Yeah.
Again, next week I'll be giving away free tickets there as well. And the first person that sends me a little known fact about Josephine Baker will win tickets from this broadcast to the show. 2 tickets.
The first person who
little
sends
known fact. Correct.
Miss
fact.
Erica a correct fact about Josephine Baker, and that she wasn't a dinosaur hunter, so no, that's not going to count. But if you send Miss Erica Papillion-Posey a little known fact, a correct little known fact about Josephine Baker, you're going to get you a free ticket.
2 free tickets.
2 free tickets.
Yourself and a guest.
Listen, you can't beat that, man. You absolutely can't beat that.
Thank you so very much.
No problem.
I really appreciate it. Now, I also know that you have a show the same evening of my opening, September 26th. I don't mind if you all go to Brother Theo's show. Please, we have to support him. He does so much in the community. No, I'm really serious. And as we said, I've been knowing this brother since 2008.
Yeah.
And every time I call with help for anything, he always responds promptly. So much so, many of you probably are not aware that he wrote Tell Me, a track from my 2015 record.
Oh my God.
This record here, From the Deep. And it's called Tell Me It's Over. It's my revolution, my Nina Simone, Mississippi Goddamn, if you will.
Wow.
And yeah, he sat right in this room and wrote that tune with me.
I did.
For that record.
Thank you.
So he's amazing in so many areas, as I say in my caption, author, vocalist, oh my God,
I don't want
poetry, Grand Slam champ, public speaker, TED Talk, if you haven't checked out his TED Talk. And I know this is about Josephine Baker, but we have to take the opportunity to always lift each other up.
Thank you.
Whenever possible.
For real.
And I thank you 1,000 times, and he should have married my daughter.
That's
say that publicly.
Now look, I ain't say that, but I was saying, you know what? I tried, but she wasn't feeling me.
I tried to.
She wasn't feeling me. That's all right, though. That's all right.
Right.
That's all right.
But you got it good right now. You got it.
I got it good because my lady, all right. Is she all right? Yes, she's all right.
She's all right.
All right, so y'all, ladies, it was you are a gorgeous goddess.
Oh, thank you. Who said that?
That's Ben Allison. Ben Allison.
Ben Allison.
What up, Tom?
So much.
I see you watching, Tom. Go ahead and get these tickets. Go and get these tickets for Josephine Baker show. She got 4 of them coming up.
Or send me a little known fact in my DMs.
Yep.
Yeah, whether you're on Instagram, Facebook, it doesn't matter. And you can win 2 free tickets to the show.
It's as easy as that.
Yeah.
You can't afford not to do it. All right, y'all. Well, thank y'all very much. This is Erica Papillion-Posey, a.k.a. Josephine Baker, for the next 4 weeks. So y'all need to go ahead and check out the Vintage Theater. Doors open every Thursday at 7:30 on Colfax.
Doors open at 6:30.
Doors open at 6:30. Shows up. Okay. Got you. So it's going to be showing next coming Thursday.
Right.
Dayton.
Yeah.
And, okay. You know what? I'm messing up my words. Just go and look it up. All right? Josephine Baker.
VintageTheater.org.
Woo!
VintageTheater.org. Get your tickets today.
She just
Thank you
saved
so
me, y'all.
much.
Thank y'all very much. Y'all have a wonderful day. Peace out.
Bye.
Now we're going to have to... How do we do this, Erica?